Exploring space, I hope we make some good conversation. It's Star
So many months later, here we are with another update. Yeah, for whatever reason, I find myself a lot more able to create during the spring and summer months. Maybe because it's a little warmer out. Anyway, here we are back to it. I probably waited longer than I should have on the whole 3D ship thing to do these tests I wanted to do. So one day I found myself looking at Twitter and they recommended me all these Blender and blah blah blah. And I found Plasticity. And it looked easy and looked, intuitive. So I picked it up. It has one of those 30-day free trial things. But yeah, it's really good. I've actually done a bit of 3D in my past, and I don't know, I became a little jaded with it. I just found myself more gravitated to the 2D kind of stuff. I don't know, I've used Maya, I've used ZBrush, I use Martin Hash's Animation Master, which is it's a little jank, but I guess it gets things done. But yeah, this seems very straightforward, and I decided to dip a toe in. So what you see here is me just testing out some of the tools, figuring out. I did the little front cab of my spaceship thing. I found myself really liking Plasticity, so I decided to pull in all my reference images and just try to model it up. At this point, I have everything done except for the engines and the little top light thing. But yeah, I was really liking it. It looks like a grub or an insect, but that's entirely on design. And not too much later, I was able to knock out the whole thing, engines and all. So yeah, I was really pleased with the experience of modeling and Plasticity. I highly recommend. So now that the modeling was done, it was time to texture it. I remember a lot of people saying how good Substance Painter is, and I've never used it, so I took a dive down that rabbit hole, and it's cool. But as I was learning the program and learning all these new hotkeys and all this stuff, it occurred to me that this really wasn't the direction I was even planning on going. You know, Star Wipe is a 2D series. It looks 2D. 3D and 2D mixed together, sometimes it's not very what I like. I'm not gonna say it's not good, it's not my preference. So yeah, abandoned this rabbit hole after a while, and then went back to Blender. Yes, Blender. I've actually stayed away from Blender for a long time. I don't know, I just kind of it seemed too good to be true, and it seemed like maybe it was too much interface in your face. But what I did see is it's able to do the 2D outlines, the toon kind of lines that's required for this process that I'm trying. So hey, let's give it a shot. The first render looked promising. It was had the lines that I wanted. There were some little artifacts, but I think I can get around those. Then I found myself drawn back to Plasticity because I wanted to model another thing. So I decided to do like a hallway, and I kind of based it on Alien. I really like the designs of the ships and stuff. Anyway, I modeled that, and then I did a little camera animation of it just going down the hall. Then I started messing around with the line effect. It's the grease pencil, it's called. And I was really liking how that looked. Except every one of my frames were taking like 3 minutes and 30 seconds to render. And for this little 90-second test, that was not good for me. So I looked at some tutorials and I was able to get it down to 11 seconds per frame, which is perfect. But yeah, Blender did great here, so I'm super happy. So next I got a still, and I brought it into Photoshop and painted it up. And this would be my guide of my colors, so how I'd use them in Harmony. Once again, the process I was trying to do is the one that Ota King does, where he exports out of a 3D program as lines, and then he brings that into his, he uses TV Paint, but I use Harmony. But then paint those as if they were cells. And then bring that into After Effects, where you do all your lighting and your effects and whatnot. So here is me trying that effect. I brought it into Harmony. I try to fill them all. But some of these cells were too tiny, and there was like anti-aliasing, so it just became increasingly difficult to fill in these rear ones where there's like 1 pixel difference between the lines. So I was like, well, what if I could just start out with a texture base on the whole model and then only paint what I need to. Then I had the revelation of, hey, why not just fill in every single part that you want shaded as that shade in a group? So I just basically texture mapped the whole thing, and then you still have the lines on top, which it looks a lot better than I was painting them. And it basically looks the same, if not better. So here's the final render out of Blender. Then I throw some rough lighting in and a vignette, and add some LCD panels, and there you go. So now that I have my process down, I could tackle some scenes, and stay tuned. The end.